people were asking me, the Trump thing, is it good for Israel or is it bad for Israel? Because on the one hand, in his last term, he arguably secured the title of the best president for Israel in America's history. Right? He moved the embassy to Jerusalem. He recognized Israel's sovereignty in the Golan Heights. He defunded UNRWA, the terrorist network. He got moving the Abraham Accords, this historic, unbelievable peace treaties that I myself doubted was ever possible in the pre-Messianic era. But on the other hand, towards the end of his first term, he was planning on pushing through a plan which was being called the Trump Peace Plan. Do you guys remember that? It was officially called Peace to Prosperity, a vision to improve the lives of Palestinian and Israeli people. This is the map of the Palestinian state that he wanted to establish. And it did involve carving up the land of Israel, including parts of Judea and Samaria, to create a Palestinian state. I don't know if you guys remember, we spoke about it on the fellowship then, but they actually created a peninsula-like appendage in order to include our farm onto the part of southeastern Judea that would be in the state of Israel, which on the one hand, I guess, was considerate. They did that literally for us. It was like very flattering to know that Ambassador Friedman and Trump, and well, I don't know if Trump was actually, but they sat down and they worked up the maps and changed it because of our farm. But on the other hand, we would have been surrounded on all sides, God forbid, by a Palestinian terror state in the heart of our ancient God-given homeland, which, by the way, caused me to consider whether it may have been a gift for Trump that he lost the last elections. I really thought that, because what that essentially did was it left him having only done good for Israel, because Israel was going to accept his proposal. It was pretty clear. Everything indicated that the political leadership on our side was ready to accept this, despite the fact that it meant establishing a terror state in the hills of Judea, God forbid. But there's just no denying the truth that the Trump administration were true friends to Israel, or as true as it's ever gotten for us, which is a very stark contrast to the very clear adversarialism or enmity of the Biden administration and Kamala Harris, right? From their arms embargo since the start of our war against Iran and their proxies. In our time of need, they were embargoing weapons, to their funding of our enemies and transferring funds and humanitarian aid right into the hands of Hamas, building a ridiculous port to circumvent Israel so they can give more and more and more directly to Hamas. I mean, who can testify more than me and Mike Isley, who are actually suing the Biden administration in a very real lawsuit regarding the morally bankrupt and horribly unjust sanctions regimes that they were unleashing on the Jews of Judea and Samaria, and their need to create some sort of sick moral equivalence between Hamas and Jews. So that's why they did it, because they needed to create that. And you know what? She lost Detroit anyways. Despite all of it, there was all of that pandering, she lost it anyways. That was cute. But anyways, it seems like the answer is clear. Of course, Trump's victory would be good for Israel, but I found myself second guessing that. Because when you look at the last 20 years of the U.S.-Israel relationship, there's a clear pattern that emerges, that Israel tends to implement the most self-destructive policies when we have a friend in the White House that's pressuring us to, whether it's giving away territory or refraining to fight our wars to victory. I remember George W. Bush pushed the Gaza disengagement. I don't think that, Obama would have been able to push that, but Bush was a friend, so he was successful at doing that. On the other hand, under U.S. leaders who are clear adversaries of Israel, Israel tends not to give away any territory to our enemies, and we tend to be more inclined to fight the battles that we need to fight for our own survival. So, after all, it was the day after his meeting with Kamala in the U.S. that Prime Minister Netanyahu assassinated Hamas leader Haniyeh in Tehran, ordered the Beeper attack, killed Nasrallah, and all these other highlights that we remember so fondly, right? So when we have clear adversaries in the White House, Israel tends to be much more bold and decisive in taking our fate into our own hands and putting our faith where it belongs. Whether we're doing it out of will or out of a lack of choice, we're putting our faith where it belongs, which is not in the White House or in the U.S. administration, but rather in Hashem and in the young lions of Judah that are defending us with their hearts and their souls in His name.
Hey, this is Jeremy Gimpel. If you enjoyed that content, then you will enjoy all the content on the Land of Israel Network at www.thelandofisrael.com. And if you want to take it up a level, you can join our global community of people that learn together, that work together, that are all a part of a global movement of over 1,000 families all over the world, and you can join the Land of Israel Fellowship. Check it out on thelandofisrael.com.